All right, no frills, no fluff. Let's get right to it. Number one is daily playlist. This is probably my favorite, mostly because it's completely free for the first 25 submissions per week. And that resets every, I think it's like Sunday or Monday or something like that. So you get 25 free submissions per week on daily playlists. On the left-hand side, you can scroll through and, sort the playlist by genre, by the energy, by like the mood. So you can really kind of target the playlists that are likely to accept your track. And this isn't just lo-fi. I mean, any type of music you make, there's probably some curators on there. So you'll probably notice pretty quickly that you can sort the playlist by the number of followers that it has is one of the options. Little fair warning that that's probably not super indicative of like how many listeners the playlist actually has. One of the reasons being that to actually submit to a song on daily playlists, there's what they call submission gates for the most part. And generally that's just the curator asking you to follow their playlist in order to submit. So it's just like an automatic submission gate. You link it with your Spotify profile, and when you select the playlist to submit, you're agreeing to all of the submission gates. Some of them very reasonable. They just say follow the playlist and I'll listen to your track. Some of them are kind of crazy and they want you to follow like 50 playlists and save 10 songs and follow 3 artists, and it's pretty ridiculous. So pro tip, it does not need to be your like main Spotify profile. All you need is a Spotify profile, which means all you need is a Gmail and internet access. So just something to keep in mind, that you get 25 free submissions for a Spotify profile. Other useful tip is that sorting by the latest active curator gives you a much higher chance of them actually responding within, I think they give you like 1 week to reply. It's pretty annoying to use one of your free credits on a curator that is not going to reply, so it's really nice that they added that like active within 1 week or active within 1 month or not active recently flair. So I pretty much only submit to the active recently, the little green tagged ones. I found that's helped with the response rate. Obviously the quality of the song is the number one thing that's going to define whether you get accepted or not, but at least you'll get a response. Number two, don't really use this one quite as much lately, but I still think it's worth throwing in there because it did help me out when I was first starting out, and that's Soundplate, another free submission website. Kind of a similar vibe going on as daily playlists. It's not like just a certain cut and dried number of submissions. I think it's like time-based, where they just like cut you off if you start spamming links and going too crazy, and then every few days that resets. But yeah, you can essentially just search for the genre, and I think a little bit of sort of like energy filtering, get a peek at the cover art, and then when you click to submit, there'll be like a preview of the playlist. You can listen and make sure that it's a good match, and then you do the same thing. Click submit, has some submission gates where that profile that you have linked is going to follow whatever they want you to follow, save whatever they want you to save. Bada bing, bada boom, the playlist curator is now listening to your track and considering adding it to their hopefully very large Spotify playlist. So yeah, those are two that I probably use the most, especially on my like independent releases when it comes to just like trying to get on as many playlists as I can and getting in front of as many ears as possible. But the third I think is still worth talking about if you've got a little bit of a promotional budget, and even if not, there are free options, and that's Submit Hub. If you've done any Googling on trying to get on playlists at all, Submit Hub has probably popped up. It's got a little bit of a shaky reputation, especially when it comes to the free submission credits. Not every curator even accepts them, and even the ones that do have a pretty low acceptance rate. Obviously, they're incentivized to take paid credits because they get paid for taking paid credits, so it makes perfect sense why they wouldn't be too jazzed about the free ones. But if you do have a couple bucks in the budget to sort of help promote the tracks, I do think spending a few dollars on Submit Hub might actually be more fruitful than throwing up like an Instagram or a Facebook ad, for example, especially when it comes to just promoting individual releases. So the fourth way that I tend to get on lo-fi playlists is actually just through Discord servers. A lot of lo-fi labels have, actually pretty much all lo-fi labels have their own Spotify playlists. Not actually, very few of them really just take open submissions from anybody, but there are a few out there that do like accept submissions. Some only accept independent releases, some only accept them from artists that have released with them before. Some make you stay active in the server, like you have to hit like level 5 or something like that to have access to submission, but there are a few labels out there that will let you just submit directly through Discord. Definitely think it's worth doing because some labels just have great playlists anyway. It's good to get your name alongside some of those other names to help feed the algorithm and get into all the Discover Weeklies and whatnot. And this is a good time to mention that in our Discord server, I am taking the first foray into playlist curation myself. I've got 3 playlists set up right now. One is like a sleepy lo-fi beat playlist. It's like 8 hours long, so it's, you know, super long for a full night of sleep. Definitely like not the sleepiest, pretty typical of like my usual sound if you've been around the channel before. The second one is to try to like broaden the horizons and make sure I can support as many of you guys as possible. It's got this like upbeat, summery, almost kind of jazzy sound to it. And then the third is the one I'm probably the most excited about, where it's just like our community playlist. I'm calling it Lo-Fi for Dogs, hoping that it might be somewhat discoverable. But my big vision here is to feature exclusively music from the people that follow this channel and the members of the Discord server. So if you guys are hoping to submit to any of those, definitely hop in the Discord, linked at the top of the description. I'd love to listen to your music, hopefully add it to some of the playlists. Can't guarantee you're gonna get like a crazy bump in monthly listeners or anything like that, but I'm gonna do my best to try to grow it organically to hopefully give everyone a little bit of help. And especially that Lo-Fi for Dogs playlist, I want to feature as much music from all of you guys as I can. And I've been throwing it on in the background while I'm working, and I know a few other people in the server have been doing the same, so hopefully we can all kind of like help each other out and grow together. But yeah, on to the final playlist pitching strategy. I don't really have a smooth title for this. So idea number 5 is actually the thing that I'm realistically doing the most often these days, and it's just simply releasing my music with lo-fi labels. If you're not familiar with the ecosystem, I've got a whole video that I'll link however you do that. Maybe it's just in the description, I don't know. But it's everything that you need to know about lo-fi labels, so I'm not gonna dive in too deep. I hope it's pretty helpful overview. I think I did a good job sort of going through everything you need to know as a beginner. But long story short, a lot of people that own like fairly popular playlists have forayed this into essentially like a music label, where in return for some percentage of the royalties your song generates, they will, you know, release and support your music largely through the playlist that they own and curate. For very many of the largest playlists, this is virtually the only way to get on them, is to sign, you know, a track over and release it with them. I've personally found it to be a pretty big help in getting my music out in front of as many ears as humanly possible. You know, daily playlists, Soundplate, Submit Hub, all really helpful. They can start getting a little bit expensive if you're going like really ham, trying to do a bunch of promotional work, and if you're doing a bunch of releases. So if you don't have a huge budget, or even really just a bunch of time to be pitching tracks every single week over and over and over again, labels are a really great way to like more or less guarantee that you're gonna be placed at least into some of their playlists. Some labels will even go as far as to run a Submit Hub campaign on your behalf, obviously because they've got a vested interest in the success of your track. So if it's something you haven't messed around with before, I'd actually highly recommend checking it out, doing a little bit of digging, getting a sense for what the space is like. But obviously don't just go blindly signing contracts and accepting whatever terms are thrown your way. Definitely do some critical thinking, and absolutely feel free to shoot me a message if you have any questions, anything you're concerned about, anything that doesn't seem normal or seems like red flag. I'd be happy to share my own experience working with, I don't know if I'm, 20 something. I think I've worked with like 20 something labels at this point. The numbers going up steadily. So happy to share my experience, happy to fill you guys in on anything that I might be able to offer some help on. But yeah, best place to start is everything you need to know about lo-fi labels. Bonus tip: there are so many cool people in the lo-fi space, so you should try to get to know some other producers, and you'll find that a lot of other producers have sort of come to the same conclusion that it's not the best to only rely on other playlist curators or label owners to get virtually any streams at all. And so very many producers, just like myself, are starting to foray into the playlist curation, you know, game. And if you can just like get to know people and like talk to them like friends, and, you know, become friends with people that happen to own playlists, it's a lot easier to just shoot them a message and be like, yo, I just dropped this track. I think it would actually be a really good fit for your blank playlist. Like, if you'd be willing to add it, that'd be dope. And then a lot of times they're like, this is sick, I love it, Thanks for sending it over. And sometimes they're like, no, this is dog water. Do not send me any more garbage. And in that case, you just gotta get better. Just make better music. That's it. That's the trick. Just don't make dog water music. I'm just kidding. I'm just rambling now. What am I saying, dude? Look at how long my mustache is. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry if this was a disorganized mess. Just wanted to share my little bits of wisdom with all y'all. So in conclusion, please think about joining the Discord server. It's a pretty great community so far. We're all trying to help each other get better. We got a good feedback channel going on. There's 3 playlists in there that you will be able to submit directly to me for consideration, and I, at the very least, am listening to them pretty actively. So if you want me to listen to your music, pop in the Discord server, send them in the submission channels. And yeah, I think that's all I got. So see you next week. Peace.